All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is our second video today from this series. You can hear the music in the background. I've been around. I've been around the world. So, this video today is going to be basically that's the background music. Is pretty much going to be about Diddy and the situation that has been going on and transpiring with our good friend Diddy. This is me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl, Mercedes. This is a little video today. We're going to be having a very serious discussion about P. Diddy and the whole situation that is going on with the music business today. We're just going to have like a little short discussion today about that particular issue. So, the trial is over, and they give Diddy 4 years time served. Okay, they're giving him time served, so I guess he has to do like about 3 years. And I heard the other day that his lawyers already filed for like an appeal. So the judge decided, if I have the information correct, the judge decides that Diddy is gonna his lawyers are gonna be able to file their appeal quickly, in a quick manner. So he's going to go ahead and already be able to appeal the conviction. And I believe that he's stationed in Fort Dix now. I don't think he's in Brooklyn anymore. I thought they were talking about him going to Florida, like where he's from, like going back to the city where he's from. But apparently, I think he's stationed in Fort Dix. Fort Dix is in New Jersey. Okay. So, P. Diddy, it's a picture of our boy P. Diddy, the guy in question. So he gets 4 years time served. The prosecution was going for 11 years, but the judge decides to give him 4 years. So now the whole situation with Diddy is really confusing to me. It's a little bit confusing to me for certain reasons, because yeah, okay, we know Diddy was having the parties, and we know, he roughed up a couple of women, but I mean, it's crazy. I feel like they're using him. I really feel like they're using Diddy as an example. Like, I really feel like they're using him as an example to some of the other ones that might be involved in stuff, to like, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? This is not the way to go about it. But I just feel like it's crazy, because I feel like a lot of these people in the music business, they just need to do their music, make their money, and go about their business. Like, I do not know why they always have to try to get in trouble, why they always have to try to do this crazy stuff. Like Diddy, he wanted to run the whole entire business. You have certain ones in the music business. Apparently, it appears to me, in my opinion, because whatever's on this channel is just solely my opinion. People can take it and listen to it, or they could just not listen to it, but it's just really basically my opinion. And I just feel like Diddy is the basis of what we're all focusing on. But my thing is, first of all, there's a few different points I want to touch on. The first point I want to touch on is, okay, we're talking about Diddy. Okay, we're holding him accountable for things that he's done. But what they're not talking about, and on this channel we talk about things that you're not going to hear about on CNN. You're not going to hear about on MSNBC. I want to give people a whole nother idea and a whole nother perspective to this stuff. So that's pretty much what this channel is. It's just another way of looking at all these basic things that's been going on. But my thing is, number one, Diddy starts out in the business. Okay, he's a new up and coming guy in the business. He gets a little bit of success. But we have to figure out, how did he make it? He's from Harlem, a young guy coming out, making it. Okay. He didn't do it on his own. Okay. That's one thing we really need to realize, that Diddy did not do this all on his own. He had some backing by more powerful forces that had more the resources, that was able to invest in his career, that was able to bring him up to the level that he, got up to and he became. Okay. So he wanted to come out with Bad Boy Records. He was working for Uptown, him and Andre Harrell, and it was just a slew of them. Kim, you know, his girl, Albie Shore, Heavy D. So these are the guys that was coming out with, you know, Uptown. Like, he came out of Uptown, he helped Mary J. Blige and Biggie, you know what I'm saying? He put some of these people on. Now he comes out with this label, Bad Boy. Okay? Now he comes out with Bad Boy. So, really, he was a young African American man coming up in the business. Okay? And my thing is, he didn't do it all on his own. Like, somebody built Diddy, somebody created Diddy, somebody made him. You know what I'm saying? Somebody brought him up to where he is. Okay? So now, Arista, Clive Davis. Okay? What Arista? Okay? This is Clive Davis. Clive Davis, he's the president, CEO, owner, Arista, whatever. He brought up Whitney Houston. We know all these other artists that he helped bring up. But Clive Davis, in my opinion, and I know Jaguar Wright was saying this too, she was like, somebody created Diddy, you know what I'm saying? Somebody groomed him. We're going to really use the word groomed. It's like somebody groomed him. So my focus today is on, what about the other players besides Diddy? Okay, we're focusing on Diddy. We're making an example of him. I get that. But at the end of the day, there's other people that somebody groomed him. Like, somebody created him, somebody made him, somebody, you know what I'm saying? So, Clive Davis. Okay? Clive Davis. Okay, Clive Davis created Diddy. He backed him up on Bad Boy to open up Bad Boy Records, Arista. Okay? Clive Davis. So, I want to know, why are we not focusing on some of the people that created Diddy? Like, what happened? This all started somewhere. And I believe, if you want to solve something or figure something out, you have to get to the root of the problem. Like, you have to go back to where it all began, back to the beginning, like where it all started and how this whole thing even, like, who created Diddy? Like, where did he even come from? Like, how did he even come up, to grow powerful and, do all the stuff that he did? Somebody groomed him. Okay? And we need to think about the people that was behind the scenes working on this situation. Why are we not focusing on those people? Because that's what created this whole thing. Like, Clive Davis was in the business long before Diddy. Probably before Diddy was even born. Clive Davis was the guy. You know what I'm saying? He had Arista. He put on Whitney Houston. Like, he put on a lot of these other artists. You know what I'm saying? So we need to really try to focus on, they need to dig deep. Okay? Go back into their records and really try to find out, how did all of this stuff even start? Okay? Where did it even come about? Now, other key players that I was hearing about. Okay? I just want people to have another perspective. Okay? I just want people to have another perspective and not just focus on one person or one issue, because he's part, like, okay, he came out with Bad Boy Records. Like, Diddy is not the only person. Like, there were other key players in this to my understanding, which we're not talking about and which we're not focusing on. And that's what I want to give people a more deeper insight to what they're not talking about and what you're not hearing about. Okay? So there's other key players. There's other key players, and I don't know if they're investigating these other people. I don't know if they're investigating any of these other people or if they're looking into any of this stuff, but they say there's other key players that was, coming up on the scene with Diddy, you know what I'm saying? So to me it's like they're not even looking at that. Okay, so there's some other people like Jaguar Wright, she was saying Jay-Z, she feels like Jay-Z had a lot to do with the situation. He's doing his little stuff behind the scenes, but nobody's not really focusing on Jay-Z. Now, personally, I like Jay-Z. Like, I always liked Jay-Z's music. I never thought Jay-Z was ever involved in anything bad. Like, I never would have, thought about that. But, I mean, he looks very innocent. Jay-Z don't look like he would hurt anybody, outright. But he's one of the players that they're looking, I don't even know if they're really looking into Jay-Z. But I know Jaguar Wright, she comes on Piers Morgan, and she's talking about, Jay-Z and Beyonce are worse than Diddy. So she's saying those two are worse than Diddy, Jay-Z and Beyonce. So I'm like, oh, really? So they've done some shady stuff. They've done some shady stuff. But nobody's not looking at them. Like, everybody wants to put all the focus on Diddy. Like, nobody's really looking at Jay-Z. They're not really looking at any of these other people. And his wife, Beyonce, which Jaguar is saying she had something to do with it. Like, she has her own little part that she played in this whole thing. But there were different players in this thing. If they really want to take down this whole organization and what's going on, they need to focus on other people too. Like, I like Beyonce, she's cute, she doing her thing, you know what I'm saying? But, if she was involved in stuff, and I'm not even accusing these people. I'm not saying they were involved in anything. I'm just saying, there was possibilities that they could have been involved in things as well. Beyonce, Jay-Z, which I love Beyonce and Jay-Z. Like, I'm not trying to say they did nothing wrong. I'm just saying there was accusations, okay? Okay, I'm just saying there were accusations and nobody really, I don't know if they're really looking, they could be looking into it, but they're not really making that public. Like, behind the scenes, they could be looking into these different individuals, but they're not really saying it. And I think Jaguar Wright, I don't think people are really taking Jaguar Wright serious. But Jaguar Wright had a lot of dealings with Jay-Z. She had a lot of dealings with Jay-Z personally, so I think she has some knowledge on some things that people are not really talking about. And I want to talk about the issues, the deep, dark, secret issues, underlying issues, that nobody's talking about, that nobody's talking about. Just looking, just behind the scenes, really. That's my whole thing. So they say Beyonce she wanted to be the queen. She wanted to be the top. Okay, she wanted to be the top girl. She wanted to be the queen, Queen Bee, Bay, she wanted to be the top. So they say there were other artists that she kind of like kept down. Or they kind of like kept down. So they couldn't come up. To my understanding. Now, these are just accusations now. I'm not saying it, I like Beyonce. I like Jay-Z. Personally, I like their music. I like their style, So I don't personally have anything against them. And I'm not personally accusing them of anything either. But I'm just saying there's other things that need to be looked into. Don't just put all the focus on Diddy, even though he was a big control person. He was a major player. He was a major, major player in this whole mess. Okay, I'm just saying. But at the same time, I feel like we need to look into other things that was also going on behind the scenes, and we can't just focus on, one person. Like the whole thing. What about going back to Clive Davis, going back to Arista, going back to when Bad Boy first came out, what they invested in Diddy. He was lucky to have somebody to take him under their wing and to invest in him and his business. You got it, you got it made. If you have somebody that really believes in you and believes in what you're trying to do, that's a great thing. But don't take it and use it against other people. Like they tried to abuse other artists. They said he abused artists, abused women, you know. So there were some other artists that they say they kind of like kept down because they wanted Beyonce to be number one. They wanted her to be the top dog. They wanted her to be the queen. So Blue Cantrell, that's one girl. Now I don't know much about her history, but that's one thing. Okay, it's saying that she was hospitalized and section after police called to erratic outbursts. Yeah, I don't know what's really going on with Blue Cantrell. I mean, I remember her from back in the day, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know a lot about her career and a lot. But I heard she was just one of the artists that they were trying to, I don't know if the word would be not really blacklist, but just kind of like keep down so they can't rise. Blue Cantrell, Carrie Hilson. There's probably were a number of other ones too as well that I heard. Now, this is all accusations. This is all just accusations. Okay, Carrie Hilson, to name a few other ones. But I feel like my opinion was always, why can't we give everybody a chance? Like, why do we have to keep certain people down? No, I feel like, why do we have to keep certain people down? This is Carrie Hilson. So I want to know, like, why do we have to keep certain people down in order to let other people rise up? I feel like there's room for everybody. Like everybody, you have different artists. They all have their various styles. I mean, I don't know how true it is, but this is just what I heard. Blue Cantrell, Carrie Hilson. These were just some other people, and there probably was some other ones that I can't even think of. At the time, but I'm just doing an opening statement here. We're just having I just want to have an open conversation, as far as what's really been going on out here in the business and what's going on and with Diddy. So right now he's in Fort Dix. I think they're saying he was transferred to Fort Dix and he got 4 years. The judge gave him 4 years. And his lawyers are appealing. But I mean, he was exonerated from most of the more serious stuff like the RICO and the racketeering. Man, he was exonerated from the main charges that he had against him. It's like he was exonerated from the main charges. But I just think we need to look into other people too. We need to investigate. We need to dig deeper. Like, we don't just need to focus on one or two people. We really need to dig deeper. We really need to get down to the nitty gritty of it. And maybe they are. I'm not saying that they're not investigating. They probably are investigating, different situations. They're not just focused on Diddy. But Diddy is in the public. Like, Diddy is in the eye of everybody. Like, he's the focus. He is, like, definitely the focus. And I know he was the kingpin boss. I know he was like a major player. But all I'm trying to say is I want to really give people another perspective. I want to open up people's minds a little bit. I want to dig deeper. And that's what this channel really is about. Another perspective. So let's just think about it, guys. I'm just giving you something to think about, in this video. Well, I don't think he's going to win the appeal. No. The judge has granted him an appeal. Well, by law and the Constitution, he has a right to appeal. And his lawyers are going to go ahead and appeal it, and we're going to see what happens. But I mean, they just need to do more research. They just need to dig deeper and find out what is really going on. because I know there's more things going on to this whole situation than meets the eye. And we just need to look into it. We just need to dig a little bit deeper. We need to dig a little bit deeper and find out, what really is the deal here. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so many things going on. This is just an introduction video into a lot of things. I definitely have to do a lot more research and really dig deep. 'Cause I know it's a lot more dirt. I know it's a lot more dirt that we don't have. I know there is a lot more dirt. But it's not so much trying to throw nobody under the bus. It's not so much like we're looking for gossip and we're digging for dirt. People love gossip. People love dirt. So they're gonna come on and listen and see, oh, what we talking about? Cause yeah, we're gonna see what these folks talking about. Cause everybody, we like drama. People like gossip. I don't know why. I don't like gossip. I just feel like we need to look at the whole story. Turn me up a little. I just feel like in this world, in this country, we just focus on certain people and certain things. Like when we want to pinpoint one person or one dynamic and we want to push that narrative and we want to focus on that. But and that's all well and good for the media and for whatever. But we need to look into more digger deep details, not just focusing on one, particular thing. So we have people that were grooming these people. We have people that groomed Diddy. Okay, we have people, that Diddy has groomed. They're saying he groomed other people too. It's like a vicious cycle. I feel like in the music business, it's just a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle in the music business and in acting and the new movies, and just in the entertainment business on a whole. There's just too much dirt. There's too much stuff that's just going on. So my thing is let's dig deep. Let's dig deeper. Let's find out the real true story. And that's what we're gonna do on this channel. We want to really dig deep and really get down to the nitty-gritty of more things that is going on than just what all they want to show you and just what all they want to tell you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be signing off right now. Stay tuned. If I come up with more information, on Blue Cantrell and Carrie Hilson and some of these other people, even Maya. I think they really kind of blacklisted Maya. She had 2 or 3 albums and then boom, she went off the scene. We didn't really hear much from Maya anymore. So it's like, what is really going on? That's what we're going to try to find out on this channel. What is really going on down deep? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mercedes. I'm your girl Mercedes signing off. Have a good day. Peace, guys.